There are some crimes so disturbing that even detectives struggle to talk about them years later. And this case? It began with something unbelievably small. A dirty diaper. That's it. No robbery. No revenge. No long-running feud. Just one moment of anger that ended the life of a 5-month-old baby girl. But what makes this story even more terrifying is that the killer had already attacked another infant years earlier. And somehow, nobody stopped him before it happened again. This is the horrifying case of baby Gabrielle Hanshaw. In 1996, Andrew Richard Lucart was living with his girlfriend Misty Rue in... Misty had 2 little daughters. Ashley, aged 2. Gabrielle Hanshaw, only 5 months old. To neighbors, they looked like an ordinary young family. But behind that front door was a man with a violent past. And what investigators later uncovered would leave people asking one terrifying question. Why was this man anywhere near children at all? 2 years before Gabrielle's murder, Lukehart had already been arrested for brutally abusing another baby. An 8-month-old girl belonging to a former girlfriend. That child suffered head trauma, retinal hemorrhaging, broken ribs. Doctors knew immediately this wasn't an accident. Lukehart eventually pleaded guilty to felony child abuse. And here's the unbelievable part. He was still on probation when Gabrielle died. A convicted child abuser had been welcomed into another home with 2 more children, and nobody realized history was about to repeat itself. February 25th, 1996. What started as a completely normal afternoon would become one of the darkest child murder cases in Florida history. Misty and Lukehart had spent the day running errands around Jacksonville. Nothing unusual. No arguments. No warning signs. When they got home, Misty took 2-year-old Ashley into a bedroom to put her down for a nap. Meanwhile, Lukehart carried baby Gabrielle into another room, and according to Misty, she could hear Gabrielle laughing. Misty later told investigators she heard Lukehart making baby noises and talking softly to Gabrielle. Everything sounded normal, safe, peaceful, but behind that bedroom door, something suddenly changed. According to Lucart's eventual confession, he was trying to change Gabrielle's diaper on the floor, but Gabrielle kept moving, squirming, kicking, like literally every baby does. And that's when Lukehart snapped. Not because the baby was crying, not because she was injured, not because anything serious happened. He became enraged because she wouldn't stay still during a diaper change. Lukehart later admitted he grabbed Gabrielle by the head and slammed it against the floor repeatedly, at least 5 times. 5 separate impacts. 2 fatal skull fractures. A 5-month-old baby was beaten to death over a diaper. And what happened next makes the entire case even colder. After killing Gabrielle, Lukehart didn't call 911. He didn't scream for help. He didn't even alert Misty. Instead, he immediately began thinking about himself, about escape, about lies, about covering up what he had done. While Misty was still in another room trying to get Ashley asleep, Lukehart quietly carried Gabrielle out of the house, dead or dying, and drove away in Misty's car. A short time later, Misty heard her car engine outside. She looked out the window. Lukehart was leaving, and Gabrielle was gone. 30 minutes later, the phone rang. Lukehart was calling from a convenience store. Panicked, Misty answered, and then came the story investigators would quickly realize was completely fake. Lukehart claimed a man driving a blue Chevy Blazer had stormed into the house, kidnapped Gabrielle, and sped away. He claimed he chased after the vehicle but couldn't catch it. Then he told Misty to call police. Imagine hearing that as a mother. 1 second your baby is safe at home. The next, you're being told she was abducted by a stranger. But detectives immediately noticed problems with Lucart's story. And then he made one horrifying statement that changed the entire investigation. As police searched desperately for Gabrielle, Lukehart wandered onto the property of a Florida state trooper named Richard Davis. By then, authorities were already searching for him. A helicopter circled overhead while officers combed through nearby woods. When police questioned Lukehart, he repeatedly asked for a lawyer, but while standing beside a patrol car in handcuffs, he suddenly muttered, "I wish she hadn't crapped in her diaper." That sentence stunned investigators, because nobody talking about a kidnapping randomly mentions a dirty diaper. Right there, detectives realized something much darker had happened. Lukehart kept changing his story. First, it was a home invasion kidnapping. Then he claimed someone abducted Gabrielle from outside a convenience store while he was buying roses for Misty. But every version sounded worse than the last. Investigators didn't believe him. Then detectives placed a photograph of Gabrielle in front of him during interrogation. Lukehart angrily shoved it away. He refused to even look at her face. And, slowly, the pressure started crushing him. Eventually, Lukehart broke, but even then, he still tried minimizing what happened. He claimed he accidentally dropped Gabrielle while changing her diaper, then shook her, trying to revive her. But medical evidence completely destroyed that lie. The medical examiner testified Gabrielle suffered 5 separate blows to the head. Not 1, 5. This wasn't an accident. This was sustained violence against a helpless baby. And then came another heartbreaking discovery. After killing Gabrielle, Lukehart drove several miles away and dumped her body in a shallow pond. Then he walked away. When investigators recovered Gabrielle's body, she was still wearing the same diaper. The very thing that triggered Lucart's rage was still there. That detail haunted investigators for years, because it showed how small and meaningless the reason truly was. A baby lost her life over something every parent deals with daily. Lukehart was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse. During trial, prosecutors introduced his previous child abuse conviction from 1994. And suddenly the jury saw the terrifying pattern. This wasn't a one-time loss of control. This man had already violently abused another infant before Gabrielle. The warning signs were there. And this time, a child didn't survive. Andrew Richard Lucart was ultimately sentenced to death, but even the harshest punishment couldn't erase what happened inside that bedroom. Because Gabrielle never got the chance to grow up, never got to say her first words, never got to celebrate her first birthday, her entire future was stolen in a moment of violent rage. And that's what makes this case unforgettable. Cases like this force people to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes monsters don't hide who they are. Sometimes the warning signs are already there. Andrew Lucart had already shown the world exactly what he was capable of. And a 5-month-old baby paid the ultimate price for those warnings being ignored. Baby Gabrielle Hanshaw deserved safety. She deserved protection. She deserved a future. Instead, her life became another devastating true crime case. If you made it this far, comment "Justice for Gabrielle." And if you want more detailed true crime documentaries told with deep investigation and cinematic storytelling, subscribe now and turn notifications on for the next case.